Hey everybody, in this training I'm going to take you through the Paid What You're Worth framework. So the point of today's framework is to help you stop undervaluing yourself and start charging what you're worth. All right. So question for yourself is, when was the last time that you raised your fees? And even if you raised them 6 months ago, how many of your clients that you saw then are still a client now? Because chances are a lot of them have dropped off, and so you may be due for another pay increase, especially if previously you hadn't raised them for 2 years before that. All right. So the reason that I'm really big on this is we are far more valuable than we let on. We create immense amounts of change in people's quality of life. We improve how they function. We get people back to work. We get them more productive at work. We get them to have better relationships with their families, better long-term health. Some of us even literally add years to people's lives. So the question is, if I know that I can add on average 10 years to somebody's life because I work with them in nutrition and prevent heart disease, what's that worth? If I know that I can get somebody to have a better relationship with their child and their child is less likely to develop issues in the future because of my aggression and anger and disconnection right now, what's that worth? What about my relationship with my spouse? If I've got back issues and it's turning me into a bit of an asshole, what's to say that's not going to progress and then in the future we get divorced? What's that worth? It's worth half your stuff at a minimum, right? And so when you start to consider these things, let alone obviously getting people back to work and whatnot, is that what we do is actually extremely valuable for somebody's life. And if we're playing the game of trying to be the cheapest or not be too expensive, we're actually playing a losing game, because unless you're Walmart and you can have thin margins, meaning your cost to deliver your services takes up most of the price that you're paid, you have to do things at volume to make that work. If I'm only making $1 per appointment, I've got to have thousands of them to make any money in my pocket to be receiving value for the value that I'm creating. So remember that in our business, there's two sources of income for us, the owner. There's what we should be being paid, our salary for the services we're delivering, what we would most likely pay somebody else to do for us. And then there is being paid as a shareholder or an investor in the company. And if you're not paying yourself twice because you're not making enough money, you've got an expensive job that you get no benefits from and you take all the risk. Because remember, 90% of the work that we do in our practice, we don't get paid for. So the work that we do that gets us paid needs to be worth something. And there also needs to be a fair value exchange for what we're creating in other people's lives. So today I'm going to show you the fastest and easiest way for you to raise your prices and never lose clients and never stress about that again, and a framework that you can use many times in the future to continue to do so. So as I'm going through this, some of this might have already triggered you a little bit, and I'm hoping that it has, because unless you're coming in here saying, James, I raise my prices all the time, I do that by decent amounts, I know what I'm worth, there probably are some beliefs that you're holding that are holding you back from having a fair value exchange. So something I mentioned earlier is that there's no advantage being cheap. There's no advantage being cheap when no one knows that you're the cheapest and no one cares. Here's the thing. If I'm trying to buy a handbag and I know that there are really cheap quality handbags down the road, I will go down the road to that handbag. But if I don't know that that exists or I don't care, then I'm not going to travel. So them being cheap doesn't actually attract business. Let's say you charge $50 and $25 takes up your $25 expense to deliver services for this client. If you take a $5 discount compared to your neighbor, you're actually taking a 20% profit cut, because of the 50 that you charge, you only receive 25. And so if you're giving $5 off the top, that's not $5 off expenses as well. It's just off the top. And the top is the cream that you're supposed to keep. And so we often don't consider this. Same way, and I'll talk about this in a minute, when we raise our prices, it's all cream. So what I want you to think about is, unless you have a competitive advantage by being cheap, meaning everyone knows it and they come to you for it, and you have the ability to deliver mass amounts of care, high volume care, it's not an advantage. Even in those situations, and I haven't found a practice yet, when you raise your prices, you get the same amount of new clients, you get the same amount of retention, you don't lose people, you just make more money. And what can you do with more money? Well, you can invest in programs like this to improve your skill set as a business owner. You can invest in more marketing so you can generate more clients and help more people. You can invest in your staff, training them, rewarding them. You can invest in yourself to learn more skills. You can upgrade your equipment. You can get a bigger premise. There's a lot of things you can do with money because we're in business. And if you're not making money, the business isn't going to exist, and all the people you pay aren't going to have jobs, and you might as well go get a job yourself. So what I want to start with is just up the top here, current belief. I'll move it so you can see it here. Current belief. What I want you to do is, if you're having resistance to raising your prices, and even if you're thinking, no, James, you know what, I believe you, I want to do it, there's going to be a doubt there somewhere. I want you to write down all of your current beliefs around money and pricing yourself and why you're not trying to be the most expensive in your area. So let me ask you that. Why are you not the most expensive? And if you are, why aren't you more expensive? What's stopping you from going from $50 to $100? What's a belief that you have that if you charged $100, well, should I say, what's a belief that you have that is why you haven't charged $100 instead of $50? So write all these current beliefs down. What are the beliefs that right now that you feel, where you feel yuck when you think about raising your prices, you feel uncomfortable? If I told you to double your prices, what will those beliefs be that are stopping you from immediately doing it? If you were charging $1 for an appointment right now and you come into this program and I said charge $2, you'd probably do it unless you have really bad beliefs because you're massively undercharging, and you probably would know that. But if you're charging 50 and your competitors are 45, 47, 52, why aren't you charging 60? Why aren't you charging 70? Write down those beliefs, those feelings that you're getting. And then what I want you to do is I want you to write down the consequences of those beliefs. Everything has a consequence, okay? There's no pros and cons. There are just consequences. If I go to the gym, a consequence is I'm probably going to be fitter, stronger, and healthier. Equally, there's a consequence that I will have less time to watch Netflix and less time to work on my business and less time to be with my family, because time is finite. And if I'm spending it at the gym, I can't spend it on anything else. Those are just consequences. You could argue it's a pro to not watch Netflix and go to the gym, or if it's the only bonding time you get with your wife, and right now maybe it's a con not being able to watch Netflix, right? So there are only consequences. What are the consequences of the current beliefs that you hold around money and pricing and things like that? Now remember, you're watching this as a recording, so I'm hoping that if you need time to write, you're going to go and click the pause button and come back in a couple of minutes and then continue moving on with the video. All right, so go and make sure you've completed the current belief section and you've completed the consequences section. Now, with consequences, I want to dig into this for a little bit. Consequences are infinite, butterfly effect, right? You don't know what other trickle down there will be. Some consequences right now of not charging more is you're not paying yourself well. And if you're not paying yourself well, you don't have enough money to invest in growing. You don't have enough money to invest to learn new skills, to fix equipment, to offer a better service. You can't buy better equipment. So eventually your practice is going to be outdated. You're not going to be able to help people. No one's going to want to come and see you, right? That's a consequence of never investing in yourself or your skill set, your team. Heck, if you never invest in your team's going to fall over. They're not going to work. If you never invest in your equipment, it's going to get old. It's going to break, right? Think about the consequences of not making more money. What about consequence of if you don't believe in yourself enough to charge what you're, matching the worth, matching the outcome that you create for others? If you believe that you're not worth that, do you think you're going to have more people not showing up for appointments, more people not saying yes to treatment plans, more people leaving care? Because if I really believe in my services, my clients will see that and they'll take action with me. If I don't, then they're a lot more likely to leave. And so maybe some of these beliefs, the consequence is how you don't have the retention that you want with your clients. People aren't saying yes to your services, okay? Or they see you as a commodity, something cheap and nasty like the other people down the road that don't really do a good job, that you don't necessarily respect, but you're pricing yourself the same as everyone else in the area, okay? So what are some consequences? The next thing I want you to do is I want you to write down about your competition, because we all price based on competition initially. If I asked you, how did you determine your price? You probably looked at everyone else and charged slightly less to be competitive, okay? That $2 is not competitive, all right? The $2 doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, okay? No one's choosing you because you're 47 and they're 49 or whatever. And if they are, probably not the right type of clientele. You probably found that on average, they're more of a pain in the ass type client. than someone else who isn't really considering that. So competition. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to cover, do others in your area charge more than you? Okay, write it down. Do people in your area charge more than you? And if they do, you probably know who they are. Write them down. The next thing I want you to do is, are they better than you? This is a big one, okay? Are they better than you? Be honest. Do you really think they get better outcomes? Do you really think that they know more than you? That they're just better people? Okay, they might be better business owners, but are they better people? Are they better clinicians than you? Do they get results that you possibly, there's no way you could get? Okay. And if the answer is yes, which I dare say the answer is going to be no, that's why this box is small and you should be saying no, they don't. No, they're not better than me. How do you know that they're better than you? Are you in their business? Do you see all of their cases? No. You're making an assumption. Probably because there is a current limiting belief around your value and what you offer. You think you need more skills. There is this massive logical fallacy that health professionals use that we see consistently, which is, I must know more stuff to be worthy. Meaning, I need to go and learn more skills, get another qualification, put more letters of the alphabet after my name to be taken seriously, to be able to charge more and offer treatment plans and stuff like that. I'm here to tell you that you know way more than you even need to right now to get the vast majority of your clients well. And there is diminishing returns on skill set. You could be literally the best in the world, but if you don't know how to run a business, you don't know how to price yourself, you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to market, no one's going to know and no one's going to care. There are heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of broke experts. Think about professors in college. They're not the best at making money or being in business. Otherwise, they'd be in business. They wouldn't be a professor. Unless they've retired and now they're giving back because they enjoy it. That's very different. But most of them are not there because they're really good at business and they thought, you know what? I'm going to take a massive pay cut and go and teach people stuff who don't really respect me. So think about that. Knowledge doesn't equal wealth, just like hard work doesn't either. What does is being strategic. And that's why you're in this program. I'm going to teach you this stuff. But I need you to understand that, let's say you were Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins or whoever else, right? Any of the Dr. Oz, Dr. Phils. Are they the best in the world at medicine or psychology or whatever? Oprah, if she opened a chiropractic practice, functional medicine, massage, whatever, do you think she'd be busy? Yeah. But is she the best? No. Even if she literally got her certification yesterday and just wanted to just jump in and start doing stuff with people, people would flock to her because she has authority. And part of authority is how you price yourself. And so thinking that I need to know more stuff to be able to get paid more and offer more value is just not the truth at all. It's how you articulate your value. And again, in this program, I'm going to run you through all of this. So write that down. Are they better than you? The answer is no. Okay. Let me change this to a normal pen here. The answer is no, they are not. Now, the second part to this is, highlight it here. The second part here is, in what ways are you more confident about your services? Because here's the thing. If you are an ethical health professional and you think that they're better than you, but you're continuing to see the clients, I'm sorry to say you're not ethical. Because if you honestly believe they were better than you, then you would be referring all of your clients to them. All right. And if you are referring all your clients to them, you need us more than ever so we can help you to unearth your value, because maybe you're getting the wrong type of clientele. Maybe you're not clear on expectations and outcomes you can create for them. So we're going to help you with all of that. Okay. But for right now, if you are not referring all your clients to this person who you think is better than you, and that's why they charge more, then why are you seeing any clients? You should be referring them. Now, that's not to say go and do that. All right. Come on a coaching call will help you here. There's some more stuff that we can do with this, but I want you to understand, in what way are you more confident about your services? So go and pause the video if you need to. Write this down. I want you to give me 5 of them. If you can give me 10, that'd be even better. Okay, but try and give me 5 reasons why you're more confident in your services. Maybe it's because, and I'll give you the first one for free, I know what I do, and I know that I'm going to take care of my clients. I know that I'm going to love and appreciate them and always do the best by them. That's why I know that I'm the best because I'm the one doing it and I can make sure that I'm taking care of them. And I just don't know what that other person is doing, saying, thinking, or their intentions. And I know my intentions are good. That should be all of your answers. Everyone watching this, your first answer should be that. Because here's the thing. You can think someone has the best intentions. How many times have we heard about celebrities or other people that we look at and think, oh, they're good. And we find out that they are really a dodgy person. Okay? So just because someone seems a certain way doesn't mean they are. But you know you better than you know anybody else. And so if your intentions are good, that is your first advantage. Okay, so I want you to go and write down 4 more for me. Now, I'm hoping that you've gone and done this and you're pausing the video when you need to. All right? Because this next part, what we're going to do here is with everything that we've gone through current belief, the consequences of believing it, the pain that it's causing us. All right? We've gone through our competition. All right? We understood there's people charging more than us, but are they better than us? The answer is no. Okay? And in what ways are we more confident about our services? So now I want you to write down 5 brand new beliefs that you might hold from this exercise to think, you know what? I'm worthy of charging more. I'm really good at what I do. I make incredible changes. If I don't raise my prices and make more money, there's all these consequences, so I must do it. So write down some new beliefs. Maybe one of your beliefs is that I'm worthy of charging more. I'm very good at what I do. I get exceptional results. Maybe that was one of the things that you wrote down in here. The one I gave you for free, which is that you have integrity and you know what you're doing and you know you'll take the best care of them possible and you just don't know what anyone else is going to do. That'd be a great belief to put in here. So go and give me 3 to 5 new beliefs, or just write down a new belief that you hold for yourself about pricing and money and charging your value. Pause the video if you need to. And when you've done that, we're going to move on to the next part, which is consequences. What are the consequences? Remember I said there's no pros and cons, there's just consequences. What are the consequences of increasing price? What's the consequence of this new belief that you hold? Right? What's the consequence of valuing yourself? Write them all down in here. And I want you to compare them to all the negative ones that you wrote in here. And ask yourself, does this make me feel better than this one? And how can I show up as a provider, as a practitioner, as a leader, as a business owner, if I'm believing these ones, not these ones? Okay? Once you've gone and done that, we're going to go through the final exercise here, which is the pricing formula. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your current price in here. So maybe it's $47 a visit, all right? Then I want you to put your new price in. Now I recommend that at a minimum, you charge an additional 10%. So in the case of someone doing 47, 10% of that is $4.70. $4 would make that $51.70. Let me make it prettier here. 51 if I did my math right, and 70 cents. Round it up. So you're going to take that and you're going to put your new price of 52 in this case. Okay? And if you're doing this exercise and you think, man, James, $52 from 47 is not a big bump. Then I'm going to say, awesome. Go to 55. $3 makes no difference. Most people are not seeing you once a week. Even the people who start with you, they could buy a concession card if money was an issue. They can go get a low interest credit card and buy 10 visits from you and get a 10% discount and pay the current price. Okay? We'll talk about money and sales and things in the YES formula and the Looper framework for objection handling. Right now, I want you to look at this and think $5 difference. That's a cup of coffee a month or every 3 weeks or whatever, all right, for most of your clients. So why not just round this up? Be confident. Own it. I'm going to charge 55. Now, we're going to talk about how you actually do this, because you don't say to people, oh my gosh, my prices have gone from 47 to 55. We say our price has gone up by $8, which is not much, right? I don't know about you. It's less than a movie ticket, a beer, a wine at dinner, right? How often do your clients go out for dinner? Once a month? Do they buy wine? Then they can afford to pay an eight extra dollars to you, who's actually helping their health, not detracting from it. So let's say we're now charging 55. Our current revenue, if we're doing 100 visits a week, I'll change color here. If we're doing 100 visits a week, our current revenue, is $4,700. Our new revenue is $5,500. We're making an extra $800 a week from a 10% price increase. Well, we rounded up a little bit. $800. That'll pay for a lot of your staff, your entire marketing budgets, right? What could you do with an extra $800 a week? Now, if you're running, remember what I said before, if you're running 50% margin, meaning if you charge $100, then out of that, $50 is expense, and the remaining $50 is profit. Typically it's, well, if you have an associate, let's say you're paying them 50% on top. So out of the $100 you charge, 50 goes to your associate, and then out of the 50 that you keep, you have to pay for your staff. So maybe you only end up with, dyslexic, $25 out of the 100. In this case, you're making a 25% margin. So if you increase your prices by 10%, so now charging 110, the expense is still 50. So now you've got, sorry guys, I'll make this simpler. Now you've got $50 expense, right? And so you're left with $60 after, and let's say paying your associate is 25 to keep it nice and round. We are now left with $35, right? Because we raised our price by 10%. That's a $10 increase. And that goes straight to our pocket. So in the previous equation, we were charging $100. Let me do it again. We were charging $100. And we go up by 10%. We're now charging $110. Before, we had $50 expenses. We still have $50 expenses. Why would the expenses change? So we were left with 50. Now we're left with 60. Guess what? You raised your price by 10. But from $50 to $60 is a 20% increase. This is the magic. If you are running a 50% margin, so half of your takings go to expenses, and you raise your prices by 10%, you're raising your profit by 20%. You're making an extra 20%. How good is that? So what could you do with this extra money? Think about that. All right. And if you're uncomfortable with this and you're not sure, come to one of the coaching sessions, post in the group. I want you to share this stuff so we can help you with this. So now we've determined our new price. We're going to charge 55 instead of 47. Here are what we're calling our pay what you're worth templates. Here's exactly what to do to confidently raise your fees without losing clients. We've got a front desk sign for you. We have an email, front desk script, and a practitioner script. And these are clickable to get templates. Here, we do it in Canva. It's a software that you can use. Oh, it's free, I believe, or $1 if you want to use some of the fancy things they have. And we've given you editable templates in it. There's a couple templates. You can take it and you can change everything in here that you want to. Colors, layout, etc. We've just given you what we know works. And you can take it and run with it. This template, let me see if I can actually see some of it here. In this template, we go through, basically we start to tell a bit of a story, okay? And we give them a justification as to why we're raising prices by first stating all of the stuff. So see how it says here, With these amazing changes, we feel it's time for our fees to reflect our value. So we're increasing our per session rate by $5 starting, and then you just change the date. Okay. All of this is for people to realize our value. Because most of the stuff we don't tell people. They don't know why we're awesome. They don't know what we're doing behind the scenes to make sure our team is awesome and we're awesome. Okay. And then we come in and we tell them about the price increase. We then also give them an offer, which is that they can, if they secure, and you can change this, a minimum of 5 visits, but you can make that what you want. If they do it in the next 7 days, they can pre-purchase as many visits as they want. I said minimum 5. You can make that more if you wish. So you should notice a cash collection increase with this because people will be pre-purchasing some visits. And then you got the rest of your information. This, you email out to your clients. Okay. Email this one. Print this one. Put it on your front desk. This here is your script for front desk, and this is your script for practitioners. Super simple. Hi, John. Just a reminder that from September, our regular session fee is going up by $5. If you want to keep the same rate, we're happy for you to pre-purchase as many visits as you want, minimum 10. How many do you want? Everything here is a presupposing a yes. Okay. Never ask a question that presupposes a negative. So how many did you want to do? Not, would you like to do that? Would you like to do that? They could say no. How many are you going to do? Is implying a yes. So now they have to say, oh no, I'm not going to get any more, which is more uncomfortable. And why would they be leaving your care? Okay. Practitioner script. Hi, John, just letting you know, basically the exact same script, but except here it says, Stacy up front will help you sort that out. All right. With this, I recommend that you don't do longer than 2 weeks. Like there's no reason to wait a month, 3 months to raise your prices. Don't say to me, James, I'll wait till December or January. Just raise them. Whenever you're watching this, right now for me, it's what date is it? 17th. 2 weeks from now. So if it's Monday today, 1 week, 2 weeks. Great. Prices go up 31st of the month. I've decided I'm going to tell my staff, we're going to print this out. We're going to email our clients. We're going to tell every single client in our practice ourselves as a practitioner. And then our front desk is also going to do it. And we're going to get a bunch of extra cash. And we're going to absorb the awesome new value exchange that's happening because we raised our prices. Okay? Outside of that, this can be scary, I get it. But if you follow our process, you're not going to lose any clients. And if you do, here's another piece of magic for you. Let's say you increase your prices by 10%. Do you think 10% of your client base is going to leave? If they do, you didn't follow our process. Okay, I promise you, if you follow our process, you're not going to lose a ton of clients. And let's say you did lose 10% of your clients. Now you're making the same amount of money, working 10% less. You get 10% more hours back. So let's say, you work 40 hours, you have 4 extra hours a week. What can you do with those 4 hours? Well, you can go and get more clients who actually respect and value you. You could work on your business to grow it further. Okay, you can get all of the to-do lists done. So remember that even if you increase your prices by 10, 15, 20%, you're probably not going to lose 10, 15, 20% of your clients. And if you did, now you have more space to invite in clients who value you. So you're making the same money working less. Okay. For most people, I don't recommend more than 10% unless you haven't raised them in forever. Okay. Especially at time of recording this with problems with inflation, etc. If you're not even keeping up with inflation, you're actually going backwards and losing money. All right. If you have questions, please bring it up in the group or one on the coaching call so we can help you with this. If you've gone through this and you still are completely stuck with the belief stuff, re-watch this, redo these sections here, because if you don't have real painful consequences of the current beliefs you have, you'll never shift your beliefs. So you need to make sure that you're finding those for yourself and you're feeling it. Then you're creating new beliefs so that you're empowered and the positive consequences of those. If you need help, ask for it. Last thing, what are your learnings? What are your takeaways? What are your action steps that you're going to do after this? What's the date that you're going to set your price increase for? And what are you going to do to keep yourself accountable? Most important part. Post in the group letting us know when you're raising your prices. Tell us how you're feeling. We'll all jump in and support you. I will see you in the next training.